What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And in today's video, we're going to be doing a showcase video, just giving you guys, the full breakdown of Guild Tesoro Legend and some of the things that he is capable of doing in One Piece Treasure Cruise Global. So, before we get into each of the different little clips that I have for you guys in this video, I have 5 different clips. I have 2 Coliseums, 2 raid bosses, and also a training forest that I'll be showing you guys in this video. But before we do that, let's actually go ahead and go through this character once again, so you guys know exactly how he works, and then we'll get into the clips and giving my personal opinions on me actually using the character, some drawbacks to him, and also the really good things about him. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into him. You can see here that he is completely maxed out with candies and limit break. He is a quick driven striker character at max level at level 99 with his limit break and candy, 4297 HP, 1928 attack, 441 recovery, across the board, amazing statistics. Now, his captain effect, which is one of the most unique parts of this character, being that you need to have one of every single class in the entire game on his crew in order for you to get 3.75 times attack and a 1.35 times HP boost. And on top of that, he will then make matching orbs appear more often on your crew. But on top of this, you will go all the way up to a 4.5 times attack after you hit 4 greats in a row. But every time you hit a perfect, you actually reduce your next attack by 30%. So he's really uniquely structured in the fact that you don't actually want to be hitting perfects with this character. That can be a drawback in and of itself, and we'll discuss a little bit more about that as we get into this video. His special ability maxes at 9 turns with his limit break, and it does 200,000 fixed damage to all enemies, changes the top row and the bottom row slots into beneficial or to matching, and will then also give your crew a 3.25 times chain lock for 1 turn. So he is the highest chain locker in the game currently right now. Even on the Japanese side of the game, he is the highest chain locker in the game. I don't think there is any other 3.25 times chain locker. There are a couple of other 3 times chain lockers, but he is the first 3.25 times chain locker, and as I mentioned, he is going to be the most significant one in the game thus far. He does have a couple of crewmate abilities. First one will be boosting the driven and striker characters' attack and HP by 50, so not really that useful. And his secondary one will make strength, dex, recovery, and tandem beneficial for himself as a sub. That means that every single natural orb will be matching, aside from psi and int orbs. So honestly, it's not too bad to get, nearly matching orb on himself. It would be a little bit better if he made like a certain colored orb beneficial for strikers and driven. That would be crazy good as a sub. And then before we get into the clips, let's discuss his abilities. So his first one will be slot bind resistance, reducing slot bind by 5 turns. His secondary one is strength damage reduction up to 7%, and his last one is a critical attack where he will give you an 80% chance to give you 8% extra damage. It would be nice if it was 90% for 10%, because characters like Gear 4 V2 Luffy, Katakuri, and a couple of other slasher legends in particular also have really good critical hit. So unfortunately, it's not the best critical hit in the game, but it's still quite nice to have. I would highly suggest maxing out another character's critical hit over this character's first, but still, he's still a really amazing, well-rounded legend with really unique, different effects that he can grant your crew, and a really strong subunit as well. But now that we've gone ahead and broken down this character, let's go ahead and get straight into the showcase. So the first of these clips is going to be against Coliseum Zephyr. I have skipped a little bit of the stalling part at the start of the dungeon. Just wanted to get to the meat and potatoes of this Coliseum and show you guys exactly what he can do. Honestly, with this specific Coliseum, this is more of a showcase of Treasure Map Jack. You'll see how good he is on stage 4 against Sengoku, and it really just shows how far Legends have come since the release of content like this, because when this first came out, this was one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult Coliseum at the time, and just seeing how easy some teams are able to beat it now is actually pretty crazy. So you'll be able to see that Tesoro here, and with the team that we have Treasure Map Jack, and we have Kizaru, and we have Rayleigh and Ivankov. The 2 characters here in Rayleigh and Neo Kizaru, you will actually see them recurring a lot in a couple of the other teams, and the reason for that is because Rayleigh is a universal type booster who is great to have. If I had dice from the actual badge, I probably would be using him a lot more often in these specific clips here, but because I didn't get him, Rayleigh's a good option for a universal type booster for your crew. You guys saw the special animation there for his special, and it looks absolutely crazy. I'm really happy with how they've actually dealt with designing Guild Tesoro and the way that his special is animated. The only downside to Tesoro is the fact that he's actually not a voiced character, and no other legend character that gets released that's a film legend will have their voice in Treasure Cruise. This next clip that you're going to be seeing is from Coliseum Orlumbus. Again, one of these Coliseums that is still to this day reasonably annoying to take down just with the way that it's structured, especially with this particular boss in Sanji. A lot of people, when they come up against Sanji, would just die because of the way that he works, and then you have to take on Koala after that, and then Orlumbus after that. But with Tesoro, you're going to see how easy that we are able to kill Coliseum Orlumbus, which I think that a lot of people still to this day will still have a little bit of trouble, you know, trying to get around Tesoro. Just does it relatively easily. Now, one of the things about Tesoro that could be seen as quite a negative is the fact that, yes, you do have to continuously hit your greats in order to get your significant attack boost. And the way that he kind of counters that, because obviously when you're hitting greats, your chain multiplier is reduced significantly. So the fact that Tesoro himself is his own chain locker, it obviously works extremely well with not only just his captain effect, but works really well as a sub for other teams, considering he is the best chain locker in the entire game. Now, considering the fact that he also is a character, as we mentioned, that has to hit the greats continuously in order to get his massive attack boost, barriers could be quite a problem for Guild Tesoro, and we're going to be going through the basic counter that most people often opt for Tesoro, enabling him to basically get around most barriers that are quite a problem. Either whether it be combo barriers, because obviously if you're hitting greats, you don't hit your full combo chain, which means that your combos are reduced, but on top of that, it could be a perfect barrier, or it could be a good barrier, which obviously makes Tesoro a little bit annoying to use. So the best counter for that you guys will be seeing in the next clip is going to be against Raid Boa Hancock, because on stage 3 there is one of the giant characters that has a 26 hit combo shield, and for Tesoro in most teams he will not be able to get around that just by hitting greats. So you guys are going to be seeing right now, Legend Blackbeard Friend Captain is super duper useful here, because when you're using Tesoro, you're going to have one of every single class on your team no matter what, so that means you can definitely opt for a Friend Blackbeard. Obviously, running someone like Raid Blackbeard as a friend captain, you're going to have a significantly reduced attack. However, one of the benefits of running Blackbeard is the fact that you can actually, run his 30% health cut that does also go through barriers. So even though you aren't doing as much damage output with a friend Blackbeard, technically you are still doing a crap ton of damage because you still get that 30% health cut. So that's one of the benefits of utilizing Blackbeard. And further on from that, because you are running one of every single class on your team, you can then always run the Blackbeard ship, which is a fantastic ship, giving 1.55 attack. It gives a health boost as well, if I'm not mistaken, and it reduces cooldowns by 1 at the start of the fight, which means you can run through your content much quicker. And it's actually kind of cool because Tesoro has a 9-turn cooldown, so automatically at the start of the fight you're having 3 turns of your cooldown reduced. So Tesoro will start at a 6-turn cooldown with the Blackbeard ship, and it makes running content much easier. Now, I actually tried to build teams to try and take on the brand new Coliseum Kid on One Piece Treasure Cruise Global. However, the thing about Coliseum Kid that makes that Coliseum so difficult for Tesoro in particular is on the final stage against Coliseum Kid, whenever you activate a special that manipulates your orbs, he does like heaps of negative effects to your crew. So you cannot even use Tesoro's special ability on the final stage, which means that you don't get your chain lock, which means that Tesoro's captain effect is kind of hindered because you don't get your max chain multiplier because you're continuously hitting greats, and then on the revive he gets a perfect shield. So there's so many really annoying things about Coliseum Kid that makes Tesoro, I wouldn't say it's impossible to beat, but it makes Tesoro not a very good legend to use against Coliseum Kid. So that's why, if anyone was wondering about Coliseum Kid, it's extremely hard to utilize Tesoro for that specific Coliseum. But any other piece of content that doesn't have too many special interrupts or too many barriers, Tesoro is going to be very good for. So the next clip you're seeing here is going to be against actually the Raid Tesoro. Now the thing about Raid Tesoro is that you get given a 1-point-something times attack and orb boost. So that minuscule orb boost and minuscule attack boost can be kind of annoying because you can't apply your own attack or orb boost. But nowadays, now that we have stuff like tap timing bonus, we have stuff like end of turn damage, we have conditional boosters, we have color affinity, this particular raid isn't really that difficult anymore. Back in the day when this raid first came out, there really wasn't color affinity, conditional boosters weren't a thing, so you actually had to either, you know, stick with what you got with the attack and the orbs, or to actually go ahead and use a unit that would remove the attack and orbs. And that's really what made this this specific 60 stamina raid boss very, very tricky. But Tesoro does go through this handedly with the specific conditional boost with Katakuri and also with the Treasure Mode Gear 4. Treasure Mode Gear 4 is actually a really good unit for Tesoro because he is a unit that does not have any of the classes that Tesoro has, which means that with Tesoro and Gear 4 Luffy, you already have half of your classes that you need to build for with his team. So Gear 4 Luffy is quite good with the universal color affinity, but the way that I was, you know, going ahead to think about the specific teams that I wanted to build for this showcase video is basically I look at what content I want to go ahead and take on, and I look at the most annoying debuffs that they put on my crew, bring a unit to directly counter that, and I build off of that. So you're going to be seeing here in the final clip is going to be against the Forest of Training Doflamingo, the Heavenly Demon Training Forest. Now I know in this specific content there is going to be lots of bind and despair, and specifically on the captain, and I knew that a unit that would help me get rid of that would be Corazon. So Corazon is a cerebral and a free spirit character, and he was the first unit that I put on my team. Now I also needed a unit that was also going to be a type booster for my crew, so I definitely wanted to run someone like Raid Rayleigh, and then on top of that I also really wanted to bring an orb booster. And in terms of characters that I needed, the character that I needed would have been Sanji, because he's an orb booster and he also is a damage reducer. Now I actually nearly die in this training forest, and it is his damage reduction from Sanji that actually enables me to beat this training forest, so shout out to Sanji. And then at that point all I needed was a striker and a shooter character, and the character that I really thought of was going to be just Coliseum Kid. I looked through strikers and shooters, and he was like the perfect unit to put in the team because you can actually use Coliseum Kid's special ability on this team and get that end of turn damage because you have your captain being a striker character, and that's one of his conditions is your captain has to be either a shooter or a striker, and then you'll get the end of turn damage with Kid. So it actually works out super duper well that you can use Kid. So I would say Coliseum Kid is also another key unit that I would suggest you guys to go ahead and farm up if you guys are planning to use Tesoro. But like as I said before, you know, you do need a universal type booster in order to get the most out of Tesoro in most cases. So Raid Rayleigh is going to be really good. I can't wait till we get his limit break. Raid Rayleigh has a phenomenal limit break on Japan, and once that arrives on global, he's going to be a solid unit for Guild Tesoro teams. Unfortunately, he doesn't have it on global just yet, or if you have the Rare Recruit Dice character that came out with this specific batch, that character also does make the Guild Tesoro teams much, much better as well. But Tesoro, you know, Tesoro is a really cool unit because he's a different change of pace considering, you know, some of the other legends that we've had released on global with Gear 4 Luffy and some other really powerful characters like Shanks and Akainu and stuff like that, Luffy and Ace, who are very one-dimensional, pretty easy to build teams for. Having a character like Guild Tesoro, he's very challenging to build teams for, but that's one of the most fun components of this character, is taking the time to overview the content you're going against and to build accordingly for that piece of content. So he's sort of similar to Gear 4 in the fact that, you know, you can basically run anyone that you want, but you do have a restriction of after you put in units that you really want to put on your team, you do have to abide by the rules of having all the classes, which can be quite annoying, having to make executive decisions on what characters you want to bring and characters you cannot bring. It can be quite annoying at times, but it's the fun of the character, honestly, and he is really fun to use as well, having to hit your greats instead of perfect. It's a different change of pace, and I do like it, and I really enjoy using this character. Can't wait to use him in the upcoming treasure map against Big Mom. It's going to be a really, really good time. But anyways, that is going to be end of this video, guys. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and smack the like button, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post on my channel, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.